It's a new academic year that's approaching us now, and many people are quite concerned about how this year will fare for higher education as well as kids from K through 12. We focus on that tonight. America's Hope starts now. From the NTD Global Headquarters in New York, I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this hour. We do hope that you're safe and well, taking care of yourself and your family because you matter. And what matters most if you're a parent right now of a child going to school, whether it's elementary to high school or to college, you're concerned about what this school year will look like. If you're a parent of a child going to a college campus in America, you might be concerned about college protests. Will college campus life be disrupted by the protesting of students against Israel and against America? We'll talk to Tashjy about that tonight. And then we'll talk to Barbie Rivera. She was an artist and mother of 4, and now she's helping her children and other children find the value in education through homeschooling. Let's get started. And so my first guest on America's Hope tonight is Tashjy. He's served as general counsel for the Massachusetts Community College System for over 21 years and currently serves as a higher education attorney and consultant. And here we are, Ken. We're starting another year, and you've actually talked about some op-eds and even written some about the fact that these college presidents have to be more accountable and responsible this year in dealing with some of the unrest that we saw during the last semester, of course, before the summer break, the summer recess. And that's the fact that so many people were protesting on their college campuses, saying death to Israel, death to America. What's your message to college professors today?
Well, I think they need to think and hear loud and clear the message from protesters that they are gearing up for round 2 come fall. And we're hearing that around the country from different student groups, in particular Students for Justice in Palestine. They're a national student group. They've got chapters around the country. They've talked about using any means necessary to achieve their agenda, including armed rebellion. So I think we need to take these folks very seriously. We saw some significant events around the country last we saw what I believe to be an awful lot of weak, anemic, and timid responses by presidents. And I'm fearful that come this fall, we're going to see a repeat of that because we've heard a lot of presidents talking this summer about doing a lot of listening and a lot of training and revising and review of their policy. But in reality, every university around this country has a student protest policy. And every one of those policies lays out what would amount to a peaceful protest and how to protest and the manner in which to protest. And a lot of what we saw last spring was in peaceful protests. And we need to see presidents step up this fall and address this conduct in order to ensure a safe and secure teaching and learning environment.
You talked about a safe environment for all students. You'll recall it was anything but that. Let me bring up Columbia University, for example, where we saw Jewish students going through a gauntlet of people antagonizing them and condemning them for being Jewish. They couldn't even go to their classes at Columbia for fear of their own safety. And some of them had some fracases with the various people there who were protesting against them. And so many of the Jewish students had to stay off campus to get their education. What is it? Why is this group so much against Jewish students? And why do we see this rise in anti-Semitism?
Yeah, look, I really can't speak to their motivations other than, we take them at their word. They are anti-Israel. They're anti-Israeli policies, both governmental and corporate policies. They're demanding divestment by their institutions in Israel, any company that does business with Israel. And they've used a variety of different methods to try to get their point across. We saw them take over a number of campuses spring with illegal encampments. We saw them occupy buildings, damage college property, restrict access to students on campus or passing through campus. We saw students harassed, threatened, and intimidated. And fearful that this is going to continue this fall. And it's very important that administrators and presidents at these institutions recognize their responsibility to make safe and secure campuses and prioritize that over the demands of the mob. Because what we saw last spring was really an elevation and a prioritized demands of the mob over the vast rights of students. And may have gained those presidents some temporary secession and hostilities. But frankly, it undermined the teaching and learning process. It severely jeopardized safety and security for students, faculty, and staff on campus. And I believe it's going to incentivize more mob action come fall.
And to add what you're pointing to and what you're talking about, it's stated here, with the new academic year upon us and the likelihood of further disruptive protests this fall, college and university presidents must either step up to preserve the teaching and learning environment or step aside. Is that what you're telling college presidents?
Oh, absolutely. I think I've strongly advocated that presidents need to be issuing a clear and unmistakable message to their college communities. The principal priority of this institution is the safe and secure teaching and learning environment. And any conduct by students or otherwise that interferes with our ability to achieve that goal will not be tolerated. I think colleges, that's a real critical concern coming this fall. And again, I'm hoping presidents have positioned themselves much more effectively to address these issues when the semesters begin.
And can you recall that last year, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, even visited. He was respectful of them, but went on to say that this college should not endorse this kind of behavior on college campuses. Look, we saw last year that several of these college professors had to testify before members of Congress, and many of them were, as a result of this, stepped down. But it seems like the problem is only getting worse.
You know, that seems to be a large question a lot of people are asking. Where are the funds coming for these individuals to continue these protests? Where is the financing coming from for the supplies and the tents and everything else that goes into these protests? You know, I think a little less about that, but I'm much more concerned and focused on the institutional response. And I want to be clear, I'm not looking to muzzle students simply because they may espouse a hurtful, offensive, or a hateful message. In fact, the First Amendment protects students' rights to that. So a lot of what we heard on these campuses last spring were indeed hateful and hurtful and offensive to Jewish students, and indeed would have constituted and could have constituted anti-Semitic statements. But they're protected from uttering those. But again, what we saw last spring, was much more than just uttering statements. The conduct we saw, the interference with the educational process, the threats, intimidation, and harassment that students were subjected to, and everything else that we saw in the media that did not fall within the scope of the First Amendment needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with in a very strong manner.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far of America's Hope. If you'd like to see it in its entirety, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.